Today on Sports Central, we go over a college football game preview and prediction on a big matchup coming up here in the Big Ten in Week 5 of this 2021 season. And that's going to be between the Iowa Hawkeyes and the Maryland Terrapins. Huge matchup coming up here on Friday night. We got Iowa on one side, currently a top 5 team in the nation, and the current Big Ten favorite to win the conference. Who would have known Iowa would be at the top heading into October? But they're a very talented team without a doubt, playing also a very talented Maryland team, which Maryland has been playing very well recently, and they should make this game competitive without a doubt. So that being said, we'll be going over a full game preview and prediction on this matchup here today, starting out with your team trends. Iowa last week had a close one against Colorado State. 24-14 was the final score there. That game definitely should not have been as close as it was, and Iowa, if you're going to be in the top 4, if you're going to be in the college football playoff, you can't be playing close games to Colorado State, which, of course, if you remember, the Rams, they played, I believe it was South Dakota State in Week 1, FCS team. They lost by 20. So Iowa should have won that game certainly by more, but a win's a win. Good thing is for them is that they did not take a terrible loss there. That could have been a terrible outcome for this Iowa team. But they're 4-0 heading into this matchup and still in the top 5. Maryland beat Kent State 37-16. Solid win for that team. And Maryland is surprisingly still out of the top 25. In my rankings, I've got them at 25 right now. I really like their quarterback, Tagovailoa. He's been playing very well without a doubt. And Maryland is still undefeated at 4-0 as well. So this may be a much closer game than people are expecting. On Friday night, this is definitely a game to watch out for. Maryland's at home, and I would say that they're a top 25 team right now. So Iowa, they do not want to come into this game underestimating Maryland, because Maryland could easily beat this Iowa team, in my opinion. Game will be on Friday, October 1st, College Park, Maryland. So the Terrapins are the home team in this matchup. It'll be at 8 p.m. Eastern time. Spread currently has Iowa by 3.5. Over-under is 47.5. Very low bar there. And the ESPN FPI is going Iowa 56.8%. So Hawkeyes are favored in this matchup slightly, which isn't too surprising, as I expect it to be close as well. Series history, these teams have only played 3 times, believe it or not. Iowa leads at 2-1. Win streak is Iowa by 2. And in the last game, it was in 2018. So it's been a couple of years since we've seen Iowa play Maryland. So these two teams don't have too much of a history between each other. Here's a stat comparison for this matchup. Iowa's got 28 points per game, 11 points allowed per game. That's the thing. Iowa's defense, that's the reason why this team is so good. Iowa could easily have the best defense in the country right now. Offensively, there are a few question marks for Iowa. They're decent in the passing game. Petrus, of course, he's been okay this season, but he's not a Heisman quarterback by any means. But offensively, that's really where Iowa shines. This team is very stout, especially on the defensive line. Iowa is a very talented team defensively, and that's what Maryland's going to have to deal with here. We got a great offense with Maryland. That's why they're good right now, is their offense. Going up against a very good Iowa defense. Should make for a good matchup here. But Maryland's got 37 points per game, 14 points allowed, 353 average passers a game so far. That is a very high number, and that really shows how much of an impact Taulia Tagovailoa has had on this team so far this season. 166 average rush yards a game, then for yards allowed, 212 passing, 111 rushing. And obviously Iowa with their 84 average rush yards allowed per game so far this season, that is very impressive stat. And even the pass yards allowed, if you can keep that number under 200, that's a very good stat. So obviously, once again, we got a great defense with Iowa going up against a great offense with Maryland. Here are your previous matchups for both these teams. Iowa beat Colorado State once again 24-14. They beat Kent State prior to that 30-7. And then, of course, they got their 2 wins, which really brought them up in the rankings. Iowa State beat them. They were ranked in the top 10 at the time, 27-17. And they beat Indiana. They were ranked 17th at the time, 34-6. So obviously, looking at both Iowa State and Indiana now, both teams are now out of the top 25. So that is kind of unfortunate for Iowa, because that makes those wins look not quite as good as they did at the time. But I still think, you controlled both of those teams. So they're, without a doubt, still great wins. But it's definitely something to watch out for there, is that Iowa needs to prove themselves, just because, if you want to be in the college football playoff, obviously you got to win the conference. But, it definitely looks better to the committee when we get to November if you can dominate teams, in which this is going to be a huge game for Iowa to do so. This would be a definite quality win if you can beat Maryland by a couple of touchdowns on the road. But for Maryland, they beat Kent State 37-16. They beat Illinois 2017, shut out Howard 62-0, and then they beat West Virginia 32-24. So overall, solid start to the season for Maryland as well. This Maryland team could potentially be a surprise dark horse in the Big Ten. I mean, they've played pretty well so far. I mean, West Virginia, that was a quality win, and they've dominated otherwise. Some key points for this one: both teams are still 4-0 and undefeated. Iowa's ranked number 5. And once again, Iowa defensively, one of the best in the nation without a doubt. I would probably rank this defense in the top 3 and maybe even potentially in the top 2. I mean, they definitely compare up to Georgia and Alabama's defenses right now, I would say. 2 wins over ranked teams. They need a dominant win here. This can be huge for Iowa if they can get a dominant win against, once again, a pretty talented Maryland team. But as for the Terrapins, chance to put the Big Ten on notice without a doubt here. Win here would probably put them in the top, I'd say, 20, maybe the top 17. I mean, I'll probably have Maryland in the top 15 if they win this matchup, just because I actually really like this Maryland team. But yeah, once again, they had a solid September, played very well in their first 4 games, and Taulia Tagovailoa playing outstanding without a doubt so far in this season. So, I mean, this is a huge matchup. Maryland should not be underestimated. I mean, this is a team with Taulia Tagovailoa. Once again, he's playing great so far this season, potentially I'd say a top 3 quarterback in the Big Ten. So Iowa's defense is going to have to really show up to play if they want to beat Maryland. And same thing with Maryland, their offense, they're going to have to play very well and make very few mistakes. I mean, turnover margin is going to be huge in who wins this matchup. So let's get to the prediction here. Iowa, Maryland, it's going to be 23-17. I'm going with the Hawkeyes to get the win by 6. It's going to be very close, and I think Iowa is the more talented team. So I'm going to go with the Hawkeyes. I think their great defense is going to really put us up to Maryland's offense. Maryland's only going to score 17 points here. Thing is, for Maryland, if they can get a couple of touchdowns in the first quarter, that will be huge in giving them momentum for the rest of the game. But also, I mean, Iowa, they're not going to be able to score very much. I mean, Iowa's offense is, I mean, they got a good offense, but they don't have I wouldn't say top 10 offense in the nation right now. And I think most Iowa fans can agree. I mean, Spencer Petras as a quarterback is probably not a top 20 quarterback right now. He's a good quarterback, but he's not one of the best in the nation. So Maryland, if you can put up a lot of points on this Iowa defense at the start of the game, that would be great. That's definitely key to winning, is you got to start fast here. But I do think it'll be more low scoring. And if it is a low scoring game, I've got Iowa getting the win without a doubt, 23-17. Probability, Iowa 60%. So I think it's going to be close. I mean, I could see both teams winning this matchup, and we could potentially see a huge upset on Friday night without a doubt once again. I mean, it's going to be, it will definitely be a tight matchup, and I'm taking the under at 40 total points right now. But let me know your thoughts in the comments below on this matchup, and I appreciate you guys all watching as always. Stay tuned for more from All Sports Central, and I'll catch you on the next one.